Well, the German Chancellor has arrived in China, as I mentioned, a visit focused on the tense economic ties between the two countries, as well as differences over Russia's war in Ukraine, for example. Scholz arrived with a delegation of business leaders in Chon-ching, an industrial hub of over 30 million people in China's southwest. He'll travel to Shanghai and Beijing over the next days. China's been Germany's top trading partner for the past 8 years in a row, with a trade volume of 253 billion euros. I spoke to correspondent Fabian Kretschmer in Beijing and asked him how tricky it was for the German Chancellor to deal with a country that's seen as a competitor, rival and partner.
Well, that is extremely tricky, a very delicate balancing act, because, as you mentioned, China is Germany's biggest trading partner, but at the same time, China has fundamentally changed in a direction that Germany did not want to see. So politically, it is clear that China has become a systemic rival. Just look at how close the ties between China and Russia are, also how increasingly close China's ties to North Korea are, and also to Iran. So China poses this risk of being of challenging the Western world order. Then you have the economic area where China is viewed as a competitor, but a competition that, according to German companies, is increasingly unfair. And then you have the area where China is perceived as a partner, for example, when it comes to climate change and projects for environmental protection. But even those areas are not very innocent, because China often says you cannot just cherry pick. If we are supposed to be a partner when it comes to fighting climate change, then don't criticize us politically for human rights, etc. So it is really a very tricky relationship, and Olaf Scholz has a lot of challenges ahead.
And what do both sides want out of that relationship, this visit?
Yeah, the German Chancellor is traveling with a big business delegation, dozens of CEOs of big German companies. They want to strike deals, and I would still argue that this is not the main focus of for the German side, because Scholz, I think he wants to get two messages across to the Chinese side, namely, first, that Germany wants to de-risk its economy, that it wants to be less depending on China in terms of critical technology, etc. But at the same time, that doesn't mean decoupling. And the second message will address the changing economic relationship. Scholz will demand a level playing field, because, as I mentioned, there's an unfair competition. 2/3 of the German companies here in China say that this competition is unfair and that they are facing discrimination. Also, for the German economy, the Chinese industrial policy has become a problem, overcapacities, etc. So this will be a big issue. And for the Chinese side, they want business as usual. They especially want to keep Germany as an investor and also as a reliable trading partner.
OK, they're expecting business as usual, but how far will Scholz go in bringing up the war in Ukraine and China's influence over Russia?
Yeah, this will no doubt be the biggest political topic, and he will bring it up. So, for example, during his first visit in Beijing as a chancellor, he got Xi Jinping, China's head of state, to say that he's against any form of nuclear use, and he said it in very strong words. And now, of course, he wants to get more concessions. The biggest fear among, or worry among Germans is that Chinese companies are selling dual-use products to Russia. They're exporting products that could be used in a civil way, but also for military use. And so I'm sure that Scholz will bring that up. But it doesn't matter which experts or diplomat I talk to here in Beijing, the chances or the hopes that there will be much improvement on that issue is relatively low. You just have to look that only on Tuesday, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was visiting Beijing, and he even got to meet with Xi Jinping, which is really highly unusual, and will probably indicate that Russian President Vladimir Putin will visit Beijing soon, and the rhetoric between those two countries is really extremely friendly. So I don't expect that China will really use its influence over Russia to pressure it into ending the war.
OK, correspondent Fabian Kretschmer in Beijing. Thanks very much.